Starbucks employees strike again. I feel like these people, Starbucks employees, are on strike on a quarterly basis. I swear. I came across some videos. If you guys didn't know, Starbucks employees, I guess like thousands of them went on strike for Black Friday. Okay. People are out shopping. I'm sure Starbucks anticipates that they're going to make a ton of money on these days while people, want to grab coffee in between their Black Friday shopping. And the employees say, you know what, we're going to stick it to the man and go on a strike on one of the busiest shopping days of the year, probably the busiest. Um, all because, they're not being paid enough, they say. They're practicing unfair labor practices like being dress coded, and they deem any dress code enforcement to be in retaliation to forming a union. This is what they're saying. So let's just go ahead. Let's get right into this video. I have a couple of videos that I'm going to pop up here, and I just want to react to these videos.
We're fighting against a multi-billion dollar corporation.
Don't support a company that stands for breaking almost every single unfair labor law that exists.
So I went and I Googled this. I Googled what labor laws were they breaking? And being dress coded as a form of retaliation was one of them. So if you have it in your handbook, if it is company policy that you have to wear your uniform and you have to wear it appropriately and so forth, and they want to enforce that, that's not in retaliation, but maybe they're like, maybe they are like, you know what, you're giving us a hard time. We're gonna enforce our policies. But if it's in Starbucks policy that you have to wear your uniform and you have to wear it appropriately, then I mean, how is that retaliation? It was things like that. Let's continue. So so they don't like Starbucks, and nobody likes the reality of it is no one likes to have to deal with a union. I know my husband, my ex-husband now, he worked for he worked for a company, they were unionized, and I used to hear about it all the time. They absolutely hated having to deal with a union. And a lot of times it is employees that want to stir up drama. They want to stir shit up. Okay, I have hired people in my very tiny business, and I have dealt with these type of employees who think that, you know, there should be no capitalism. They shouldn't have to work for someone to make a living. This is I have had employees outright say this. So they already come in with a negative demeanor, a negative mindset because they feel it's wrong. They're already starting off on the wrong foot. They come in, they think they get through the interview process, they say all of the right things, and they come in and they start spewing these ideologies, and they turn out to be the absolute worst employees. They are unemployable, in my opinion. Um, and so it just always they already come in with that mindset and it just ends up bad and they start looking for trouble. They want to stir shit up. Okay. Let's continue.
Yeah, they've been stalling with contract negotiations. Basically, they're stalling on giving us better staffing, better pay. And Starbucks has been found guilty of 400 unfair labor practices, and there's 700 still pending in court.
And just because people have filed these complaints doesn't mean that the plaintiffs are right. Doesn't mean that the plaintiffs are going to win. They're just filing these grievances, these lawsuits, these class action suits. And you guys know there are lawyers out there who are just salivating when they hear about, a possibility of them pinching a big corporation and getting, millions of dollars. They will jump all over it. And it seems like a lot of these cases, they usually settle because they don't want to, they just don't want to go through the process. So a lot of times these companies, these corporations settle, but and then the insurance companies have to pay for it and so forth. And this is why these employees are being replaced with robots. Did you get it? If I build a business and you come work for me and you say, you know what, I don't like what you're paying me. And I say, I can't pay you any more than this. You have to make a choice. You can't sit there and force me to pay you what you want me to pay you. You are making coffee. You are not creating uh, a SpaceX rocket. You're not creating the next biggest technology or the next biggest social media app. You are making coffee. Go make coffee somewhere else where they will pay you what you want. See how that works out. Or start a small business and make and sell coffee. Okay. And then hire people and then pay them what you think is fair. And let's see how that works out. But I don't get this mindset of we're going to come in here and change everything and we're going to tell you what you need to pay us and this is how it's going to be is insane to me.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. I'm not the
I
video.
don't know why this keeps doing that.
This is a company that is not addressing needs of their workers. These were not outrageous demands. They wanted to be treated with respect.
It is a really hard job that you are standing for hours on end. There's even periods in the morning where we aren't allowed or supposed to go to the restroom.
For people
Y'all believe that? Let's be honest. You believe that they're saying, somebody's saying, look, man, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to go pee. And they're like, no, you can't. You really believe that? Come on. Making coffee is hard. Look, I don't know about you guys. I got it out the mud. When I say I got it out the mud, I mean, I remember I used to clean houses for 16, 14, 18 hours. I don't even want to tell you guys what I've been through before. That was hard work. I'm talking post-construction cleanups, big move-out cleans and 4,000, 5,000 square foot homes. Though that was hard. That was back-breaking work. This mother is up there talking about making coffee is hard. And in my business, I haven't, I encourage everyone to take their breaks. Um, but we have certain rules like don't stop and take a break while you're in a client's home, or while you're on there are certain times where they could take breaks, where they're encouraged to. But of course, if they need to stop and go use the bathroom or get water, we encourage them to do that. Do you really believe that these people are telling them that Starbucks is telling them no, you can't go use the bathroom? Come on. Come on. Be real.
who are just drinkers of coffee, should they support a living wage for people who make coffee? Yes, they definitely should.
This company earns so much money hand over fist. That alone justifies us to.
No, it doesn't. That's where you're wrong. And see, this is my problem with these people. They're pocket watching. They're watching what the CEO is getting. They don't see the work that has to be done in the background. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. It's not physical labor. No, they don't have to stand there and make coffee, right? But it does take some work and it takes acquired skill. And the more skill that you develop throughout life, the easier it gets. The easier it gets to make money, right? As you develop more skills, it becomes a little bit easier to make more money. You work smarter. You learn to work smarter and not necessarily harder. But what the CEO makes does not justify you guys demanding more money. Employees are a huge cost. They're an investment. Employees are an investment, and you should invest into your employees, but it has to be reasonable. They are making coffee. They're getting up to $21 an hour in New York. Some of them making more. The managers, I think, are making 60 to 70K, it says, plus benefits. And plus all of the other costs associated with it. And this is why you want to demand more money. Eventually, the corporations are going to say, all right, enough is enough. And you will all be replaced with robots. And I'm not, comment below. Let me know when's the last time you've been to a Starbucks. I'm going to talk about this in a minute.
Demanding better wages, not just better wages, but livable wages. Something that someone
Making coffee does not equate to earning a livable wage. It doesn't. I don't believe that you should be able, I mean, if you could, that's great, but I don't think that it's reasonable to believe or to expect that you can pay for housing, pay for all your bills by making coffee. I just don't think that that's a reasonable concept. I think this is a good job for a teenager. That's my opinion.
that alone justifies us demanding better wages, not just better wages, but livable wages. Something that someone doesn't need to get two jobs to be able to afford rent or support a family, like I know a lot of my colleagues do. And I don't think that's a lot to ask, honestly.
So I'm gonna say, like, the last time, I don't even go to Starbucks anymore. I'm just gonna say that I actually like Chick-fil-A's coffee more. I used to go to Starbucks every day. I actually like Chick-fil-A's coffee a little bit more right now. I used to like Dunkin' years ago. I can't stand Dunkin' anymore. Don't like the taste. I used to go to Starbucks up until maybe a couple months ago every single day. And I don't like the taste of it anymore. I just prefer like a grande iced caramel macchiato. It just doesn't taste the same to me anymore. I go to Starbucks and get a mocha cream cold brew every day, and I probably shouldn't, but I do. s- so this is not in defense of Starbucks because I'm just a Starbucks fan. No, they have terrible customer service. The lines are super slow. When you go through, you get the I just found out that this was like an actual thing. It's called the Gen Z stare, where customer service folks just look at you like this and they're not polite, they're not greeting you. And that's been my experience. Like, say probably 70% of the time. That's that, and then they also expect a tip to hand you coffee out the window. So yeah.
As confused as I am about this, people that are on strike with Starbucks right now. Like I made a post yesterday talking about it, that they're unskilled labor. But I had a lot of people in the comments, they were talking about like if they took $96 million that the CEO was paid out, it comes out to like $252 in one lump sum check. That's all that they would get. If they took his entire $96 million, it would be $252 or a 12-cent raise. But this is what gets me, dude. Like the benefits that these guys get. Let me just read some of these to you. They get a comprehensive range of medical, dental, and
I didn't even watch this. I saw this. This was one of the videos that had a lot of views, and I said I'm gonna pick it because I knew he was reacting to Starbucks. I played like the first few words. Exactly my thoughts. Exactly my thoughts.
vision insurance plans. Paid leave for eligible parents who welcome a new child to their family through birth,
I didn't
adoption,
even
or
know that.
surrogacy. support for growing families through a range of adoption, surrogacies, and fertility benefits, mental health, 20 free sessions a year. They get
Um, and just by looking at some of the people that we just saw and watching some of the protesters out there that fit the the profile of the people that always have mental health issues, they always have some sort of anxiety, or they always have this, they always have that. How many visits, how much therapy or, mental health days they're taking off, or how many times are they going to go speak to like these counselors on a Starbucks dime? I really want to know.
time away, sick pay, and bereavement pay, and they get financial protection for you and your family with uh, short-term and long-term disability options. Not to mention, and this is all as a part-time employee, right? They get stock options, 401k. They get something called a siren card that helps them with like their credit score. They get
Wow.
a Starbucks savings match to up to $250. They get
Wow.
100% tuition reimbursement, all working 20 hours a week. And yet
Wow.
it's a part time job. And you guys are on strike saying that you want a livable wage.
This just made me think, like, I may need to up the ante. I may need to pay my employees a little bit more because I think they hear about how good S- Starbucks is paying, factoring in all of these benefits. They might start to look the other way. 'Cause I can't afford to pay all those benefits. I'm just gonna be completely honest. Not for what my main business, because I have smaller businesses too. But my main business, I could not justify paying all of those benefits out. That's insane. That's a lot of benefits. But yet, they're
Anybody else as confused as I am about this? People savings
demanding more.
match to
Where
up
does
to
it end?
$250. They get 100% tuition reimbursement, all working 20 hours a week. And yet it's a part time job. And you guys are on strike saying that you want a livable wage. Make it make sense because it doesn't. Like, you guys are missing out on the biggest opportunity that you've ever had. And if I was Starbucks, I would just get rid of all of you guys and go find some other people that were actually grateful for what they're getting. Anyways,
100%. 100%. If you don't like where you're at, where you're working, what the rules are, what you're getting paid, leave. Just leave. But then the thing is, if Starbucks fires all of these people, then they can say, "Oh, it's retaliation." Then they can file for unemployment. Then Starbucks has to pay out more. Like, I feel like people should be mandated to take at least a business 101. Okay, I went to college. I dropped out of college. I went to college for business management. Business administration is a nonsense degree, to be honest. But I didn't finish. I still started the things that I needed to start. Um, but they should at least understand how this works. Like, the things that they demand is just unreasonable, unrealistic, and it's just not going to work. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Comment below. This is just one of those topics. As a small business owner, it gets to me. It's so hard in my small capacity. And I know that they're talking about much larger corporations. But sometimes I feel like people that are employees and they have never started a business, they don't see all of the other things that go with running it. I can't even imagine what it takes to run um, a chain, of anything. So anyway, I just see it on a very small scale how hard it is. And I feel like if you work enough in life to where you can make $90 million, and that CEO that made $96 million, the company gave him a $90 million in stock. I think it was like stock awards. So and like 6 million in cash or something like that. Um, but That's the economy that we live in. That is our economy. You get rewarded for the work that you do and what you generate. The more revenue that you generate, the more money that you make. It's not about race. It's not about any of that stuff. It's just basic economics. That is the way our country works. I don't know. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I'm out.